Hello and welcome to CX Today. My name is Charlie and today I'm delighted to be joined by Jono Luk, Vice President of Product Management at Webex. Jono, it's great to have you join us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Charlie, and thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you, and it's a very exciting topic that we're going to be talking about today, and that's kind of the conversions that we have going on between customer experience and employee experience. So I think probably the best place to start is by simply asking you kind of why are companies tying together customer and employee experience?
Yeah, so in my opinion, a couple things have happened. The last 2 years, the world changed. Right? I think we all learned to work remotely, digitally, virtually, and that brought with it a new experience and way of getting things done, right? A modern feel, and customers want that, the immediacy of sending a text message and getting a response, right? Or something, choices out of the voice. But the reality is the same is true of the employees that work at a company, right? The agent, if you will, that's helping that customer. They too want that same fluid and simple nature, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we're seeing, first of all, a groundswell demanding that experience. That's the first thing, and then the second is. It just leads to better business, Charlie. I'm going to be honest, right? Like an agent, an employee who is happy, who feels comfortable, will do better when working with their end customer. It's just a natural human tendency. And I think those are probably two of the bigger drivers for why companies and brands really are now realizing that it's critical now more than ever.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, having asked you kind of the why, I mean, that's a very compelling argument that you've given. I guess the next logical question to ask is kind of what are the first steps of bringing employee and customer experiences together?
Yeah, I'll talk about first steps. I'll also talk about how we're doing it because they're synonymous in my mind. The first is just really recognizing that there's humans on both ends of an interaction, right? That the person that's reaching out for help on a particular situation, inquiring about a product, whatever the reason is that a customer's reaching in, um, that they are human, and that alluded to during the pandemic, people got used to virtual and digital. That bar, that experience bar has been set. And so remembering that when facilitating. And the reason why I say that's the first step is that then leads to what do I need to do as a company, as a brand to facilitate that? That does mean more instant messaging style. I mentioned SMS earlier, right? Those are the forms upon which I think a lot more customers are expecting to interact. I actually traveled last night. I was on a red-eye flight and I had to change my reservation, my rental car reservation. I did it all through one of these things, right? Literally through my phone. I didn't have to talk to an agent over voice. It was a couple messages back forth, said this reservation, boom, it was changed. And that's the first step, enabling those simple experiences. And the flip side, if I do need to ask for help, right, I do need to talk to that agent, giving that agent all the comforts that they expect as if they were talking to a family member. One of the examples I often fall back on is agents can work from home just like a knowledge worker can work from home. Why shouldn't they have those capabilities, right? Those comforts of noise cancellation, as you and I might know from one of these things. And it's how interactions just have to happen. So again, starting with recognizing that those humans want that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a brilliant kind of philosophy almost that you've put forward. But I guess the main sticking point with getting these sorts of initiatives off the ground is that I guess they're almost seen as fluffy, perhaps by some executives within a business. How can kind of leaders that really see this conversions of CX and EX as the next kind of frontier get those at the top of the business to take it seriously as a means of improving customer experience?
Yeah, so over the years, through my work time in the industry, I've learned there's always two tools. One is the numbers tool. So, when you look at some of the surveys that were done, less than a third of executives, all currently, right, they already know that customers probably aren't super happy with the experience they have with their organization. They may not know why, but they know there's a problem there, right? And then they also recognize that speed and the experience is one of the root causes. They've said that. I think it's, apologies, I can't remember the exact number. I think it's less than 30% agree, right? Customers are happy with how quickly they get things resolved. So there's a numbers game you can start, because less than a third is a powerful paradigm for people to go, wait, there's a lot of headroom for improvement. The other one is really to quantify some of that and look at the experiences that are happening. So as we talk about CX and EX, the evolution of the tooling and technology that exists to analyze those interactions, right? Looking at the customer sentiment. It used to be you got the survey at the end. It's would you mind holding on for a survey? On a score of 1 to 10, how did you feel about that? Now we have sentiment analysis tools that can do that near real-time analysis of the interaction. That's the quantification that can supplement and potentially point to problems, right? And that same AI kind of play, that sentiment analysis, the topic analysis that can be done now, so that it could be this line of product that was just released, or it's the website. These things put together, that's a powerful tool then to really start pushing up, up the business. You got to think about the CX. The flip side, the EX, we have that technology as well now to, if you will, observe the agent's interaction with customers, right? And you can correlate the customer's experiences on those agents and over time trend that, which can help. We know that agent burn, I call it burn and churn, right? As agents are overworked, the churn, they will start to exit and you'll have to replace. That will fundamentally impact your CX, right? Your company's ability to interact with customers. And so understanding that agent side, the EX, is critical as well.
Burn and churn. I really like that phrase. I might steal that one for some of my articles. But I think
you're welcome to use it, Charlie.
I think there was lots of great ideas. I love kind of the use of sentiment analysis that you put forward there. And obviously, you've mentioned quite a few different tools in this conversation already. Kind of the background noise reduction. I know Webex has an app for that. But it'll be also interesting to find out kind of how else Webex is helping brands to enhance their employee experiences.
Yeah, I guess I kind of gave away a couple of them already, right? So just to replay that real quick, though, it is very much important that we recognize that agents should be able to work from anywhere, right? That choice. I think it was the Great Resignation. That was the phrase that was used referring to employees' wants and ultimately demands to choose where and how they work. And so the mobility aspect or the work remote aspect is key, right? So all the tooling that you need, be it a phone, a hard phone on a desk, or the soft phone. I just have a laptop and a headset, I'm good to go, right? So that's one aspect of this, that element of choice, and then the quality of the interaction based on that choice, the audio intelligence. I don't know if you've ever had this happen before, but I've definitely had to connect with my television provider or internet provider, and I'm pretty sure that agent was working from home because I could hear their kids and their dog, right? And so it goes both ways, where it's not just canceling, so the agent can hear me, but vice versa. The customer shouldn't know. The customer shouldn't care if there is that real interaction, right? And so that again, the technology to support the highest quality of that interaction, I think, is so key. And while this doesn't necessarily enhance the employee experience, this is a critical thing that employees do want to know, and that my information is safe, right? Customers and employees alike want to make sure that as I'm having this interaction, we're not being listened in on. The data that's being collected is truly kept private. And so that's something it's more of an ephemeral sort of concern, is because it's interaction by interaction. But I think those kinds of promises are still also key.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fascinating. But I think the final question now that I want to put to you, just on this topic of employee experiences and how that can bolster customer experiences, is quite simply kind of what is Cisco and Cibex, Cisco and Webex doing to.
You've merged them into one.
I'm creating a new brand as we speak. But kind of what are you doing to almost walk the walk here and improve the experiences of your employees too?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's a couple things. We've been using the word employee and EX very loosely, just so everyone is on the same page. It's not just these agents, the human agents that are involved, right? There is the supervisors that ensure and coach and bring those agents forward in their tenure and career with this company. There's the business analyst. There's the chief experience officer. So, employee truly should be all of those when we speak of it. I would say there's a couple things that Cisco's done. One I'd love to point to is just again, the core technology we built to make sure that anytime I need something, for example, if Charlie, you're the customer and I'm the agent here, we have a whole suite of capabilities. So Jono can quickly go ask a question of a SME, come back and tell Charlie the answer is XYZ, right? So the ease with which I can not just communicate with the customer, the outward facing, but also the inward facing. And that's true in a retail, a customer support, also healthcare, education, all these other industries and verticals, right? Where they too are customer experience. And we don't want to forget that. At the end of the day, the patient journey is in some cases more critical, if you will, unfortunately, than a retail customer. The time criticality. And the reason why I brought up the privacy aspect before, healthcare data, PII, right? That is the top, the top tier of critical information that must be kept private. And so me as an employee, knowing that I can get the answer I need and not have to worry about where am I going to store this? Is it safe? Is it secure? That's one example. Another is we're providing that, now going to the supervisor persona, if you will, more and more tools for them to understand how things are going with agents. Because with the stat, I think, is like a third of agents churn over every 6 months, or I'll have to go back and take a look and I'll send you the exact detail, but it's a lot of new agents at any point in time, which means that interaction might be my first interaction. And so providing both the agent but the supervisor the tools to get me up to speed, right? To help, to coach me. That's another one, because if I'm getting better support from my supervisor, I'm going to learn better. I'm going to feel more supported and be more confident in my response to you. And so those are also areas that we're bringing forth tooling and capabilities to really improve that employee experience. And something I think that folks may have heard Larissa Horton, my general manager and SVP, speak before, is something called personal insights. So we've been working on this in a knowledge worker setting for the last 2 years. It's actually something that we work on my team. And that tells me, Charlie and Jono, what's your connection, right? How frequently are you working with other teammates? But we're evolving it to also be, what do you talk about? What are the topics? Are you an expert that Jono should reach back out to? I've had all these conversations. Who's the right person, right? Going back to that SME. And so it puts more information and power at my fingertips as the agent to support you, the customer, the patient, the account holder, in a financial institution. So those are just some of those things that we are doing above and beyond what I described before. The noise cancellation, so that we just have a higher quality interaction. And of course, the foundation of all of the digital voice and video channels, right, that a customer, a patient, an account holder may want when interacting with a company.
Hmm. Yeah, so many great examples there, and even kind of reflecting on the insights, the analytics solution that you kind of just mentioned there. I mean, what really impressed me actually with Webex was that insight kind of engine that you mentioned, having the sentiment analysis, the keyword tools, alongside insights into the network connections of agents who are working from home, alongside kind of the rapport statistics of how long are agents talking to customers on the phone, what's the kind of the ratio of who's speaking. Yeah, I think that insight engine was was very powerful from when I saw it, and lots of really great other examples that you shared there, Jono. So I think that's probably a great place to end today's chat. But it was great to learn so much from you. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, Charlie, thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. And also, thank you everybody for watching. Bye for now.